we're more obsessed with liking, swiping and checking in than ever before. It's the visual platforms that have led the growth in usage this year, driven by our obsessions with our smartphones and ourselves. Almost half of us are now posting selfies, and that number rises amongst young people like myself. People are now happy using social media pretty much anywhere, even when at lunch with family and friends. In fact, for young people, taking a photo of their food has become just as important as eating the food itself. We decided to speak to an expert about what impact this type of behaviour might be having.
Social media is possibly rewiring people's brains, with every like or retweet releasing small doses of dopamine that leave people happy and craving more attention. Anxiety and distress are on the rise among young people, and no doubt social media is having a significant impact as people feel under pressure to compete for attention online. It's also breaking down social norms, with almost 3/4 of young adults now happy to accept friend requests from complete strangers.
It's pretty clear social media is now a part of our daily lives, with people using it first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and when on the move. In fact, for young people in particular, it's pretty much unavoidable, so you better get used to it.
Well, hello everybody. Hopefully you can now hear us. So in our introduction, I understand that you couldn't hear any audio. So we are going to go back just a little bit to make everybody up to speed. But what you've just seen is our 2017 social media report. So that's going to give us a really good benchmark. My name's Christian Lydiard and I'm one of the national sales managers here at Yellow. And joining us, of course, across the country today are our sales teams and lots of our customers also joining that are a part of our channel that is serviced via the telephone team. So if you're joining in your business, thank you for joining us. I've got two guest speakers that are joining me as well. So Damien Salter, who they would have just seen Damien, but they couldn't hear you.
It was gold, guaranteed.
It was. We'll have to replay that. We'll put it on YouTube later. And I've also got Erin Williamson joining us. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Christian, and happy Friday, everyone.
Erin is actually the head of marketing here at Yellow and is going to help guide us through some of the conversation. So in our introduction, we were just talking about the fact that marketing used to be very simple. You could have a business card, an open sign, and away you went. But today, it's quite complex. There are so many choices and options for people when it comes to identifying how they're going to have their marketing mix.
That's right. One of the challenges for small and medium businesses is choosing the right channels and the right platforms to advertise on. And today we're going to give you some insights into how social media can fit into that ideal marketing mix.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, because we're joining via YouTube Live, there is an opportunity here for you to ask questions. So along the side, if you're using a desktop computer or even on a mobile phone, you'll notice that there's an option for you to actually chat. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to put them in there, and one of our experts is on the line waiting to respond to you. Let's talk a little bit about the buying funnel. So this is something that was actually developed around 130 years ago. So it was actually in the late 1800s. And there's a few different variations of this, but essentially it's the path to purchase. So if we think about social media, and that's what we're discussing today, this funnel is quite interesting because lots of other forms of media simply have a particular place, but social can be integrated everywhere, Damien.
That's right. Traditionally, broadcast media like radio and TV sat at the top in your awareness categories, and at the bottom we had things like mail and customer relationship marketing. Now with social media, we can go across all of the different stages of a consumer journey and touch our customer in different ways to be more effective with our marketing messages.
Yeah, great. So we've seen the video around the social media report. We might bring you in here, Erin. So from a brand point of view, what should people be aware of when it comes to social and how they should use it to leverage their brand?
Sure. And firstly, there's so much pressure to use social and to use it correctly. And trust me, I feel it too. So I just wanted to start off by saying that I think as a brand, you have to consider that different platforms have different strengths. And so something like Instagram, which is really visual, lends itself really beautifully to cafes and fashion. But if you're a plumber, your day-to-day might not be that pretty, let's face it. So I think the first thing is consider which platform is right for you and go from there. So the second thing that I would suggest is back in the day, it used to be all about engagement and likes, and that was really the end goal. I think it's really evolved to be a very commercial platform, and so having an objective before you start is really important. Is it getting traffic to your website? Is it, because I know that's always my objective, to get more traffic through to yellowpages.com.au. Do you already have as many customers as you can handle? And so therefore you might really want to drive that engagement and have people having more fun with your company and your brand. And another option that people are sort of looking at is Facebook in particular as a customer service channel. So it's a really great way for people to respond very quickly and easily, both to you, and then you can respond to them. So I think before you get started, have a good understanding of what you want to achieve. And the last thing that I would seriously impress upon you is you have to boost your posts. So, Facebook does change their algorithm every so often, and back in the early days, it used to be enough just to put a post out there without any money behind it. I know I say to my team, we don't do a single post unless we boost it. And that's because such a low percentage of the people that like your page will actually see it. And I think we've got a stat here, Christian.
Yeah, so that's now like in the low twos, right? So
it's like 2.6%.
A few years ago, it was about 17% of organic posts would naturally be seen, but now we're in the 2%.
Exactly. So, you go out there and you create some beautiful content, you put a lot of thought into it, and then nobody sees it. So it's definitely a mandatory for us that each post needs to get to its targeted audience, and it needn't be expensive. But really do consider, the value in that. So that would be my top 3.
Thanks, Erin. I think it's worth explaining what the organic reach sort of means. So essentially when you're posting on social media, and just think about your own social media presence at the moment, you will tend to see the same people, right? Because Facebook has an algorithm that understands who you are and what might interest you, and they're going to serve up that content first. So you may have hundreds of friends in your Facebook profile, but you don't see all of those people, and then you go looking around and you go, oh, they are doing things, but I don't see it. And that's all based on your previous experience. And I guess that's what we're saying, is that even though a business may be putting it out there and they may have an audience of 1,000 followers, they're very, very unlikely to be reaching more than 2% at the moment.
And it's pretty scary because, social can require a bit of time and thought to get right, and you don't want to waste that.
Yeah, cool. Damien, some of the other stats that we just had on the screen, right, we might bring those up again, but so people understand the size of social. 70% of Australians today are using social media, and the lion's share are on Facebook, right?
That's right. And we're there all the time. You only need to go into a cafe to get your morning coffee and see the people waiting around, and what are they doing?
Yeah.
Heads are in their phones and they're on social media. We visit there regularly, but in shorter bursts. And that's one of the reasons that many social media channels like Facebook are starting to filter out that content. We don't spend as long there. They want to give us relevant information that is important to us while we are there.
Yeah. Now, over the last 5 years of us conducting our census social media reports, we've seen the increase of social year on year on year. We might just put a screen shot up now so we can talk through this, Damien, but essentially we're continuing to see that growth. So even between 2016 and 2017, there's growth in almost all of the platforms. Can you talk us through that?
Certainly. So first and foremost, Facebook's still the king. Facebook is now at 15 million active users, which has grown year on year up to August last year. The big movers, though, are Instagram and Snapchat. Still, though, almost above half of Facebook's total users. So for most small to medium businesses out there, Facebook is still the place to concentrate the majority of your efforts. But as Erin mentioned, if you're in an industry that particularly serves itself to imagery or video or more detailed interaction with your customer base, then Instagram and Snapchat are places to consider.
Yeah.
And Damien, that's a really good point that you mentioned there, your customer base. So who is your audience and what platforms are they using? So go and meet them and reach them on the platform that they prefer.
That's right. And Twitter's the interesting one for mine. Twitter's really leveled off in the past 18 months and really isn't necessarily growing at all in Australia. So we can see how quickly social media can change.
Yeah, for sure. And I really agree with those points. I think another way that small business owners can think about that is the difference between passive and active advertising. So passive are all the things that you do to create awareness. So in a traditional setting, that was things like radio, billboard, maybe even a street sign. So not everyone that sees that message needs you there and then, but it's about getting the blend right. Active, on the other hand, are the things that you do that draw immediate attention. So it is things like the Yellow Pages directory listings, where people are literally got their phone in one hand and their wallet in another. But social crosses over here, and I think one of the really interesting opportunities for business today is to take advantage of current trends. So for those of you watching television or free-to-air, you may have noticed that all of the good programs have just come back. And it means, or at least for me...
Oh, Married at First Sight, Christian.
I'm more into the jungle, the celebrities in the jungle.
Yep.
But you know, shortly we'll see all of the renovation shows come back. So if you're a business that's in something around home services, it might be design or interior, whatever, furniture. Social presents an opportunity for you to leverage off the other advertising and things that are going on just in the passive community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the ability to target. These platforms have come such a long way in that you can define your audience to their geography,
Yes.
to their age, to their sex, to their interests, and the interests is kind of that.
Yeah, for sure.
You can also appear in front of them while they're looking at the subject that you deal with.
Yeah.
Anybody who's out there at home, I'm sure, has picked up their phone during an ad break in My House Rules or The Block. And it's a phenomenon, I got it right, that we call multi-screening.
Yes.
So we're looking at different platforms at the same time. So advertising to those consumers who are interested in what you do at the time that they're actually showing interest.
Yeah.
It makes it an amazingly powerful tool.
Definitely. And look, the average consumer goes and follows these brands, right? And that builds trust, and it means you can leverage that. What we're going to talk about now are some specific ad types, right? So looking at the different things that you can do on Facebook and why you would do it and where it sits in. So the first one, Damien, is the local awareness ads. So these are about increasing local sales, right?
That's right. Local awareness ads are really about targeting the customers which are most valuable to you in your local area. Imagine putting a billboard up on Main Street and then following those cars around, essentially. They're really effective because they use the geo-targeting features of social media.
Yes.
So your mobile device knows where you are, or your IP address can signal where you are, and you can advertise to customers who are around where your business is located.
Yeah. So this is really great for pretty much any business, but particularly if you're a business in a tourism type setting or a restaurant or hospitality. If you imagine that people are coming into your town, all of a sudden you can grab their attention when they may be looking for things that they haven't previously considered.
That's right.
We use that technique to make sure that we don't waste any of our really important that boosting budget that I spoke about. And it allows you to be so defined, which is great. It means that you're only targeting the people that you need to, and it's I think one of the most targeted forms of media.
Definitely. And click-to-website ads are ideal for those businesses who have a bricks-and-mortar location. Locally targeted ads, I should say, are ideal for those businesses that have bricks-and-mortar locations and want to drive foot traffic into their store, into their restaurant, into their cafe, into their salon.
Yeah, great. So the next one we'll take a look at is those click-to-website ads that you touched on. So these are really about driving more traffic to your website. What are some of the reasons why people would consider this?
So if you have a deeper product offering or would like your customer to find out more information about what you do, your brand or your business by engaging in your website, click-to-website ads are ideal.
Yeah.
They're also great for those businesses who have e-commerce or sell products or services via their website. You can drive customers directly to that ability to purchase from you there and then while they're in a research and interest phase.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look on the next one. So the next one is lead generation ads. This is one of my favourite, very, very powerful technology here. And it actually sort of really is very much down the end of the buying funnel, right? So it's about getting opportunities to transact and grow your revenue.
That's right. For those businesses who want to capture sales leads and want to capture customer information, lead generation ads are really exciting, as you mentioned. They offer you the ability to interact with your customers and capture that information without your potential customer actually leaving the Facebook ecosystem. So it's safe, it's quick, and it's easy for them.
Yeah.
It's really important if you do choose to utilize this type of ad that you respond really quickly. Levels of service are one of the first things which any good sales organisation will look at when evaluating their conversion from inquiry to sale.
Aaron, a few years ago I used to own a photo booth business, and I actually found this type of advertising to be one of the most effective. And that's because not only could we take advantage of some of the other targeting that Damien spoke about, things like targeting a certain gender, or targeting based on relationship status, which is pretty cool and very much in line with that type of business. So what's your point of view on lead generation?
Well, I think, just coming back to that funnel, you need to have a good understanding of your product or your service and the length of time that someone will take to get to that lead gen point. For example, if I was going to sell a big expensive thing like a car, then lead gen is not the technique that I would use, because that's probably 6 months worth of research, and you want those people to be, in other areas looking at your website and that type of thing and gathering information. But something like a photo booth, to your point, give Christian a bit of a plug here, that is something that you can sort of decide upon right then and there. So it's a fairly instantaneous decision, and that's going to be a really quality lead.
Yeah, and it's about narrowing the audience, right? So we know exactly who the ideal customer may be. Now, the next type is the page like ads. So this is almost about building a community. So what are the advantages here?
To Aaron's point earlier, organic reach isn't what it used to be. So we'd only recommend page like ads when a business has a specific objective to grow their social following. It can be good for mass market branding, but really, to be perfectly frank with you, Christian, the previous 3 ad types are going to serve most businesses with a better result and a better return on investment than page-like ads will in the current social media environment.
And that's because the objectives that we generally focus on are transactional with our customers.
Right.
So it's really about helping you increase your conversions to generate revenue outcomes.
Correct.
Yeah, great. We're going to take a short break in a moment and watch a clip. But Aaron, I just wanted to thank you for joining and giving your insights.
Thank you for having me. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Fantastic. And if you've got any questions for Aaron specifically, throw them in the YouTube feed and we'll respond to those shortly.
Forget about connecting with customers online and buying social media ads. If you really want your florist to be liked, then what you need is a store greeter. A baby store greeter. Go.
Welcome to Birchmore Florist.
Oh, aren't you just so cute? I'll have every flower you've got. And that's how you get to be liked.
So Damien, what I'd like to do now is get into some of the nitty-gritty. Why would people watching today be considering using yellow social ads? Let's talk about technology first. What is some of the technology that helps us support our customers?
Certainly. So first and foremost, Christian, the biggest point of difference with yellow social ads is the machine learning and the platform that we use to optimize a business's social media advertising.
Okay, so when you say machine-based learning, we're hearing a lot of this, right?
We are.
AI, machine-based learning, there was a lot of press about this last year. What do we really mean for our customers?
Certainly. So we use a platform of technology which allows us to, first and foremost, have multiple different variations of each ad.
Okay.
The technology then learns which one of those ads is getting the most engagement from consumers.
Yes.
So the most clicks, the most views, the most interactions. And we can take that learning and apply it to the whole social advertising campaign.
Okay, so essentially the machine-based learning can do things faster and quicker than a human can.
That's right.
Which is going to bring forward information that helps us improve.
Yeah, correct. Essentially, we're doing ABC testing. So you might have heard of A/B testing before.
Yeah.
This is using 3 different variations to make sure that we can learn and continually improve.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned throughout the different types of campaigns that you can run, the targeting. So can you just touch on some of the sophistication that we can bring to this?
Certainly. That's one of the, targeting in itself is one of the most powerful aspects of social media advertising. Because Facebook and Instagram and other social platforms know so much about us because of where we've been, what we interact with, what pages we like, what we even talk about, we can start to create audience segments that have expressed interest in associated or related subjects. For example, if I'm a mortgage broker, I might be able to target people who have looked at realestate.com.au.
Yes.
Because they're about to buy a house, they're going to need a mortgage. Same principle could apply to a removalist or a conveyancer.
Okay, so it's sort of becoming predictable and
Correct.
using some smarts to
Yeah.
help give people the edge. Now, if I was a small business owner, I would want to understand my reporting and my performance. And how would I know if I'm achieving success?
Certainly. So the Yellow Social Ads platform offers a real-time dashboard where you can track how many times your ad has been displayed, who's engaged with it,
Yes.
what we're testing, and all the different metrics which come along with any social media advertising. This means that you can understand the return on investment and performance almost on a daily basis.
Okay. Now, Damien, you sort of mentioned some pretty amazing technology, right? Which is fantastic. Does that mean we don't have people involved?
No. So one of the, combined with the technology, as you say, we also need expertise. So our account managers are all social media specialists.
Okay.
So when it comes to designing a campaign, that's a hard thing for a robot to do.
Yes.
There are people that are using social media wanting to connect with other people who own and run businesses.
Okay.
And the people in the middle of that are the campaign managers, who are experts at building campaigns that are going to reach the right audience.
Yeah. And I think if we went all the way back to the start of this presentation, we talked about the complexity, right? So it's very, very difficult today for somebody to be an expert at one element of digital marketing.
That's right.
Okay. So what would people expect from a service level? So let's say I signed up for Yellow Social Ads. What would the next steps be?
So the next step is you'll have a dedicated account manager who will contact you to talk through your goals.
Yes.
What do you want to achieve out of your social media campaign? And how are we going to do that for you?
Okay.
We'll then hold your hand through collecting images, ad copy and text, links to where your ad should point on a web page or location.
Yes.
And really make sure that your social media advertising campaign is set up to best practice standards
Yes.
and is designed to meet the objectives that you need it to.
Yeah, great. Now, let's take a look at a real example, right? So a business based here in Melbourne called DI Dental Implants. And this business has kindly allowed us to share their real information.
Yeah.
So this is a real example of some performance that people can see. And the objective that they were running, and this campaign is over a 20-day period. So it is normally a full month, but this is a 20-day overview of this campaign. And they're focused on clicks to websites. So what are we seeing on the screen now?
So we're seeing some examples of the different advertising creatives across different social media placements. Facebook and Instagram, and the different areas where they might appear. So mobile, desktop, and Instagram specifically being a mobile platform.
Okay, and just to reiterate, right, so Instagram is a part of the Yellow Social product.
Definitely is. It's a very big part these days and certainly growing.
Okay, and let's look at their performance now, right? So this is a 20-day overview and they're focused on clicks to websites. Now, let's talk a little bit about how this actually compares with other forms of digital advertising, because lots of customers that are joining us today are existing Yellow customers and they may have an existing range of products. They've all got very different specific reasons for why you would use them. Here's an example of a dental business and it's quite a competitive space, right,
Very
when it
much.
comes to comparing this with other services, maybe services like search engine marketing. Here we can see that they're receiving 44 clicks in a 20-day period, which works out to be something like $2.80 a click.
Yeah.
How does that compare?
It's highly competitive. If we were to look at Google AdWords, for example, or search engine marketing, you would expect that the cost per click through to your website would be substantially higher. Different regions are going to have different prices, but in Melbourne, we'd probably expect that to be somewhere between 3 or 4 times higher than that for such a competitive industry.
Yeah, and I guess the beauty of social advertising is, once again, you're paying for appearances also, but you're also knowing that these people are choosing, right? They're opting into that because it's met their need in some way.
That's right. You're not, as a consumer, you're not going to click on an ad unless you're interested in the product offering.
Yeah, great.
Even more so, if we were to compare social advertising to Google AdWords, for example, we're not relying on the consumer to do a search for our product or service.
Yes.
We're reaching them before they might even know that they need us or know about us. We're almost circumventing a traditional buying cycle by getting in front of consumers before they even know what they need.
Yeah, great. Now, some of the elements just to touch on very quickly so people understand what is potentially in the dashboard. So we've got the time of day, so that's interesting, right? And some of this can be controlled. So if you think about when your audience may be looking, you get a sense of that. And we've got some demographic data as well that we can see on the screen.
That's really powerful, particularly for a business like the DI Dental Implant Centre. Most of their consumers are going to be probably 35 plus, maybe reaching that older bracket.
Yeah, and that's sort of spot on, right? Because this business has told us that they want to target those 50 and older, and that's what we can see here on the screen. So identifying and knowing who your ideal customer is. You know, if you were to get a phone call from somebody that was 30 and a phone call from somebody who was 55, you really need to understand as a business owner which call do you want? Who's going to be the better customer?
And this reporting allows you to see if the campaign is hitting the type of marks that you want it to hit. And in this instance, you can clearly see that your ads are appearing in front of the right customers and they're getting clicked on by the right customers.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for talking us through that, Damien. I guess when you think about social media today, another great way to think about it is simply media consumption. And the reality is digital is starting to provide an opportunity for small businesses that's never been there before because you can narrow in down on the right customer. What are some of your final comments?
I completely agree. There are 2 areas of social media which I think are make it a must-have for almost any small to medium business out there. First and foremost, as you say, the ability to target based on interest, demographic, age, gender, but also social media allows you to target on location as well. So you can advertise to the potential customers that are most important to your business, those ones who are close to you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for joining us for this very special Yellow Live webinar today. It's all been about social, but more specifically, it's been about how does social fit into your business and how you can leverage social to actually grow and generate revenue, because that's really our focus, and the key is to help Aussie businesses grow. Thank you for joining us. My name's Christian Lydiard. We'll see you again next time.
Bye.